Hello guys, Crispy and welcome back to another video. It's one, my friends. I'm gonna be testing the Nvidia GeForce RTX 3070 in Marvel Spider-Man Remastered. This one is the EVGA XC3 Ultra edition of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers, 516.94 at the time of recording this video. I'm not overclocking it, and you can see all of its specs here in Tech Power-Ups GPU-Z, PCI Express 4.0 x 16, 5888 CUDA cores, 5888. Why did I say 5888? I don't know. 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 VRAM and rebar is enabled. Over on the left, we're pairing it with a Ryzen 9 5900X and 32 gigabytes of RAM. Let's get right into it now, shall we? Let's go over the settings first. I'm playing at 1080p resolution, no upscaling at the moment, but of course we're going to use some DLSS a little bit later, and we're using the very high settings. Just going to set this to the maximum actually, and this is it. No ray tracing, but I'll also test it out a little bit later as well. Let's go. Actually, the sharpness, I'm gonna increase the sharpness a little bit. Okay, let's do this. Holy crap! Okay, this is really high FPS. For some reason, I wasn't expecting it to be so high. Wow, that is insane. Maybe I have been playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta for so long that I just didn't remember how gorgeous and how great this game ran. Actually, we disabled anti-aliasing here, so it looks very shimmery. I think we should definitely enable that. Wait a second. Alright, there we go. TAA looks the best here. It's super soft actually, but hey, it works quite well. And it's better at native resolution than without it for sure, because it's too damn shimmery. Anyways, you can see that the GPU utilization is definitely not maxed out here with the 3070. That means that the 5900X is a little bit of a CPU bottleneck in this game with this GPU at 1080p resolution. But that's okay, you know, it's still very high FPS anyways, and a super enjoyable experience. In a game like this, single-player title, you don't even need more than like 60 FPS in my opinion. I would be fine with 60 at least. So going up here, getting 200 FPS, that's crazy. Let's go. Look at the entire city from above, 80s. Again, CPU bound at this point, and let's go jump towards the city now. Get 70s. Yeah, this is basically worst case scenario right here. It's not GPU bound anyway, so we've seen this already with a lot of GPUs in the past, like the 3080 Ti, 3060 Ti probably. Those will also be CPU bound at 1080p resolution. And since we are CPU bound at 1080p resolution, that means that enabling DLSS here, for some reason they actually changed the name of DLSS to DLSS Super Resolution. That would be like DLSS SR, I think. 3S. Anyway, quality DLSS, and as I was saying, that means that enabling DLSS here won't really do anything basically. It actually makes the image sharper, however, so I think I would still enable it, even though we're not getting more FPS coming from DLSS like we do at higher resolutions. I think it's worth enabling just because it looks better than the native anti-aliasing of the game, TAA, or with it disabled, of course. That's way too shimmery for a third time. Just gonna go now to the Central Park area because there's more of a GPU-bound scenario right there with all of the vegetations and the leaves and stuff like that. Also, this part of the map is a little bit less CPU-intensive, so FPS are jumping up by a bit there. But it is pretty much the same experience. It doesn't really change by all that much, honestly. It's actually dropping into the 90s now, so interesting. Let's go. And GPU bound area. Oh, GPU usage is actually shooting up to the 90s here. So if we disable DLSS, we would actually be seeing a lot lower FPS than these. That's interesting. I thought the 3070 was going to get way higher FPS around this area. Dropped into the 70s there for a second. Yeah, let's just disable that right now. Oh, I actually forgot that we got to restart the game when applying DLSS, I think. But I just remembered that that only applies whenever we are VRAM limited, so we're not VRAM limited here at 1080p, obviously. Everything is fine. If we restarted the game, it would get exactly the same FPS. It's CPU bound scenario after all, so yeah. Anyways, getting drops into the 80s around here without DLSS and at native resolution. Not bad by any means. It's actually super solid, of course, as expected coming from a 3070, I believe. So let's stop it there, and let's go up to 1440p resolution now. All right, I'm gonna restart it just to make sure that it fully applied everything properly, because whenever you change the resolution in this game, you also need to restart it, which is kind of stupid. Let's go. All right, here we are, 2560 by 1440, TAA anti-aliasing, still the same very high settings. Let's go. All right, looking at the Central Park area, it's getting 100 FPS, and we are fully GPU bound at this moment. As you can see, 98% GPU utilization, not moving in the slightest. Yeah, this is very intensive, but it's still pretty much the same experience as 1080p, guys. Because, yeah, as long as it's above 60 FPS, I think it's a pretty similar experience no matter what in this game. If you have a high refresh rate monitor, of course, you're gonna notice a little bit of a difference. But hey, it's very minor. It's still like 80 plus FPS all of the time. That's awesome, of course. All right, taking a look at it over here, 100s, not bad. I mean, this is why the RTX 3070 is such a beast GPU and really geared towards 1440p gaming, right? It can play this super intensive title, GPU intensive at least, as well as CPU intensive, but we're talking GPUs here, at 1440p max settings without ray tracing, with pretty strong performance, even at native res. We don't even need to enable DLSS here for it to be a high refresh rate experience. Also, don't know if you are noticing it, but the GPU utilization is fluctuating a little bit, or at least it was over in that area back there. Yeah, if you roll back the video and watch it, yeah, once again it drops into the 80% range, which is pretty interesting. Even at native 1440p, we are still seeing a CPU bound scenario with a 3070. Once again, it shows you how beastly this GPU is. Right now, taking a look at the city from above, dropping into the 80s. That's absolutely gorgeous, guys. Graphics look amazing like this. Now, there is the odd stutter here and there, yes, but you know what? It is perfectly playable still, and there is a workaround to it. If you don't really like the stutters, like anybody out there, no one likes stutters, right? Locking the FPS to like 100 or 90 or maybe 80, because that's like the minimums that we've seen so far, will get rid of the stutters completely. I guess that's because the game was made to run capped on consoles, and when you uncap the frame rate, it stutters just a little bit, but that's no problems. As you can see, dropping from the huge building drops our FPS into the 60s sometimes. It's not a problem. Once again, if you are running a 1440p monitor, as you should, with an RTX 3070, it's gonna run perfectly fine. Now, what if you like the look of DLSS a little bit better? Let's see. Enable that. Yes, VRAM went down by a lot instantly, and I will restart the game just to make sure. All right, and using DLSS at 1440p makes it a CPU-bound scenario most of the time once again. As you can see, dropping into the 70s, 80s, GPU usage is basically never maxed out around here. Maybe it will be in the Central Park area, but yeah, it's a solid experience still. I think, again, I would enable DLSS anyways, even though the performance improvements are basically zero, because it just looks better, guys. Can you tell? Like, in a YouTube video, there's going to be a lot of compression going on, and it will look a little bit bad, but I can definitely see a huge difference in terms of quality, and I really do think that you gain a lot of quality by enabling DLSS in this game. Around here, getting 150s up to 150, I guess. Very, very nice. Hundreds. Basically gonna fluctuate between like, what, 100 and 150 frames per second in this area, which is kind of insane. And back in the other area with more buildings and stuff like that, or smaller buildings, I guess, it will drop down into like the 70s probably minimum, so nothing to worry about. Once again, super solid and stable experience. The stuttering is, yeah, that's gonna happen a little bit sometimes, so just lock the FPS to like 100 or 80 or something like that and have fun playing this game with a 3070. It looks gorgeous and it runs amazingly, of course, as it should for such an expensive GPU. You know, most of the time during the past 2 years, it's been like a $900 GPU or something like that. Although it's supposed to be 500. Yeah, and even 500 bucks is a lot for a card. Anyways, let's go up there. And, oh, I went to go back. Come on, Spider-Man, what are you doing? What are you doing? Come on, let's go, let's go. Okay, take a look at the park. Getting 140, that's insane. And it's looking amazing. So, yeah, this is how I'd play this game, basically. Alright, maybe with some ray tracing as well, because it looks really good in this game as well. So now I turned off DLSS, and we're gonna go up to 4K resolution. Let's do this. Alright, 3840 by 2160, just gonna restart the game again so it properly loads every texture and whatnot. Oh, 4K resolution gets really intensive, dropping into the 60s now, looking at Central Park, so I guess down there it's definitely gonna drop from 60 FPS. But I can't deny it looks absolutely fantastic at 4K. If you guys have a 4K TV and you can actually connect your PC to your TV, I recommend you to do so because it's just an amazing, gorgeous game at 4K resolution. Tons and tons of detail. And it only drops into the like lower 50s, maybe higher 40s at times. Yeah, that's not bad whatsoever. 3070 is still very capable of providing a playable experience in Spider-Bug 2077. What have I said? What the heck? That was definitely not on purpose. Wow. Oh my gosh. Cyberpunk is actually embedded in my mind. That's crazy. Wow, alright, can we get like 69 on average? Maybe with DLSS we can. This is looking so detailed though. Damn. Wow, I'm using a 32-inch monitor to play this game with, which makes a huge difference compared to 27 inches, by the way. At 4K, it's much more immersive, and you can take a look at that finer detail everywhere. It's just awesome looking here in this game, guys. 4K resolution is insane. Although I still think that the 3070 is much better suited for 1440p gaming, and to be honest, 27 inches at 1440p looks incredible as well. Super high pixel density, so it's really nice looking, and that's what I recommend to go with this GPU. 32 inches at 1440p, that's what I have back there in that monitor that sits in my desk every time I make a Sunday video. You can see it, you know. But yeah, I used to use that one. It has the same pixel density as a 24-inch 1080p monitor, and I think you can definitely notice some pixels there at that resolution and size. But at 27 inches, 1440p is the way to go, in my opinion, and at 32, 4K is just absolutely gorgeous. I can see every little window there, up to the top, no shimmering anywhere. So detailed, man. Wow. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's almost at 69 FPS, look at that. That's crazy. Oh, we got it now because we're looking at the sky and getting more FPS and bumping up those averages. Don't like that too much. But alright, come on, 70 now. Spidey, be faster. I wish he was faster doing this. Now it's Spider-Bug time. Alright. And now we got 50s there, looking at the entire city. And while dropping, it should drop to like the same values that we saw in Central Park, I guess. Yep, maybe even slightly better around here because we don't have any bandwidth issues. Alright, that's very impressive. And at the end, we actually got the perfect frame rate, 69 average. Absolutely incredible, my friends. Let's enable some DLSS in balanced, because balanced looks almost as good as native resolution, honestly. Yep, that is definitely the case. Really gorgeous. And let's just restart the game so it fully applies everything properly. Alright, here we go. I can see some fluctuation in the GPU usage, guys. I saw like 91% there. Maybe we're not GPU bound, but I saw it. Maybe it was just a little stutter, I don't know. But as you can see, it's much smoother. It looks just as good in my opinion. And it's amazing, guys. It's awesome. So smooth, so smooth. Let's keep on going. It's always above 60 FPS right now. Of course, the ultimate test will be the Central Park area, but I mean, if it's getting 90 or around that, in this area, I believe Central Park won't be too hard to run. It will still be above 60 frames per second. That's just insane, guys. See, if you have that 4K TV, give it a try. It's so buttery smooth like this and so detailed. It's awesome stuff. Really awesome stuff. See, you can actually play some games at 4K with the 3070, even demanding ones like this one. This is not only a 1440p GPU, like a lot of people call it. Actually, calling GPUs a resolution GPU is not really accurate whatsoever. You can play whatever games you want at whatever resolutions you want with like any GPU. Even the 710 will run games at 4K. As long as those games are like from 1999, something like that. Alright, still no big fluctuations in the GPU usage. 81% there, but not an issue. It was only for a split second. This area is beautiful, guys. All of these lights. That might be why I said it's Spider Bug 2077, because of all of the lights. Sometimes it looks similar to Cyberpunk. Finally, we are here, dropping FPS into the 70s and the 80s. It's pretty much the same thing, same experience. Awesome stuff. Yeah, I guess the lowest that it will drop to is 70 frames per second, right? That's crazy, dude. And looking at the entire Central Park area, I don't know why I do this, looking at the entire area, because it doesn't really matter. Down there is where it drops the most. And it doesn't even drop too much, so I am very impressed actually here with the performance, especially at 4K. And even at 1080p, it did better than I was expecting. Anyway, I think it's now time for 1080p res. Quality DLSS, because it looked better than native resolution in my opinion, and some ray tracing. Let's do it. Turn that on. Oh, thought it was gonna crash there. Very high ray tracing. Object range is set to the default value there. Not gonna touch it. And let's see how it does. Just gonna restart. Okay, so as well as being super GPU intensive, ray tracing is also super CPU intensive, and we're actually seeing a big CPU bottleneck now. It's not really maxing out our GPU in this area, although this area is actually one of the least intensive areas now that ray tracing is enabled because it has no reflections. So let's go towards those buildings with a lot of glassy windows, yeah? Let's see. Over here. That looks alright. A little bit fuzzy because it's 1080p resolution. Don't like that too much. But the FPS aren't really changing by all that much. I thought they would drop by a lot in this area at least. Interesting. But hey, the reflections are much more accurate now. As you can see, it's reflecting things properly, not just an image, you know, a stock image. Yeah, it's pretty solid. Down here, the cars are also ray traced, the reflections on the cars, and they look pretty alright. Although I'm not really sure if at 1080p it's worth enabling ray tracing, because you can see a lot of noise there in the reflections. Doesn't look very good, so I think it's kind of distracting actually. But hey, it gets 70s, 80s around this area. Not bad whatsoever. This is, once again, one of the most intensive areas for ray tracing. How's it going, mate? What's up? What do you want? F. Why does it show like a crosshair on top of his head? I don't understand. I always think these guys are enemies because of that. Alright, these cars over here. Not a problem. So if you want ray tracing at 1080p, you can definitely have it with the RTX 3070. Let's go up to 1440. Maybe those 8 gigabytes are going to struggle a little bit now that we are at this resolution. But yeah, it's doing a pretty good job still. Look at that, 60s. Ooh, dropping to 50 at times. Just gonna restart to make sure that it fully applied properly. Okay, so we were getting low FPS because I didn't restart the game. Oh, I think my mouse died. What? What the hell just happened to my mouse? It stopped working for a second there. Okay, anyway, let's start counting the frames. And it apparently isn't as intensive as previously. As I was saying, this is much smoother after a restart. Not even dropping into the 60s anymore, or the low 60s at least. But it was dropping more around here, I think. Nope, It is much better. We gained like, what, 10 FPS by restarting the game. So if you guys are changing settings on the fly, I strongly recommend you to restart. It didn't really take a long time to restart this game, so it's fine, I guess. And you can see that there's still a little bit of noise in the reflections, but hey, at least they're accurate and they're much better looking than at 1080p res. That's for sure. Let's see the cars up close. What the actual hell? It looks like a grid of some sort. Like, you can see a lot of dots there and squares, basically. That is weird. Haven't noticed that previously. And it's dropping into the 50s again. No! Maybe we're saturating the VRAM buffer. I don't know. It's at 7 gigabytes there, but sometimes it is actually VRAM bound, even without the reading of VRAM utilization being maxed out. So you gotta keep that in mind again. But hey, it is playable for sure, even if it drops from 60 to like 58 or 52. It's alright, okay? I wouldn't really sweat it because of it. 55 FPS at times. Dropping by a lot, but hey, if you give a little bit of an overclock to the card, I guess it might be possible to get 60 plus most of the time. I mean, we're already getting 60 plus most of the time, but yeah, you can extract a little bit more performance from it. Wait a second, was that an ATI truck? Oh my gosh, this looked like ATI. Oh boy, what the hell. Finally, the Central Park area again. It's less intensive than the streets now. It's exactly the opposite as when ray tracing is disabled, and that RAM utilization is definitely going up by a lot. So I really think that we're running out of VRAM, even though that only says it's using 7 gigs. So anyway, that's it for 1440p. Still playable for sure. And let's finally go up to 4K resolution, balance DLSS, and restart the game with ray tracing. Oh yes. Okay, so this is the ultimate test. Wow. All right, okay, we gotta remember that this is the least intensive area for ray tracing. It's already dropping into the 50s at times, but I can't deny, it's impressive that ray tracing is enabled and it's still getting around 60 FPS, right? I can't be the only one who's impressed by that. Holy crap, on a 3070, you know, this isn't even the top of the line GPU, of course. Ah, that's crazy. It's really nice and playable, I guess. Even down here, swinging around, not a problem. Just slightly dropping from 60. I don't get it. It should be much more intensive than this, right? Okay, now it's dropping into the 40s, but I mean, compared to 1440p, we're only losing about like 15 frames per second or so. That's not bad for 4K. And now the noise is gone on the reflections. We don't see that grid anymore. I mean, this is a pretty compelling option if you are looking for the best graphics possible and playing on a TV with a controller, where you can't really feel that slowdown in frame rate a lot. Maybe lock it to like 45 or 40 frames per second and get used to it. Add a little bit of motion blur, because a lot of people like it. I don't know how you like it, but okay. But yeah, that's about it, guys. It is playable even with ray tracing, even at 4K resolution, as long as you have a strong CPU that doesn't bottleneck the card with RT, and you use DLSS, of course, because at native resolution it would be kind of terrible. But hey, since it looks so good with DLSS, I just don't see the point of not using it to increase your FPS, of course. So that's doing it for this video. Thank you very much for watching it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you guys in the next one tomorrow. And as always, love you all. Bye-bye. Can we take a look at Spidey through the windows there? Oh, yes. Ray tracing working right there. Awesome stuff.